ADEC's Smart Start program offers first-time practice owners their deepest discounts on equipment and furniture for 2 years, plus other savings and complimentary services. Ask your ADEC rep for details and start smart with ADEC. Join Doctors Savanah Craig and Ronnetta Sartor as we navigate life beyond graduation. Real conversations about forging our own paths in our early years in our careers. There's a reason it's called practicing dentistry. All right, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Graduation. I'm Savanah Craig, and with me as always,
I'm Ronnetta Sartor.
All right, guys, we're going to do rapid fire patient scenarios and how you would handle it.
Yes.
All right, Ronnetta, the patient is an older gentleman and asks how long you've been doing this.
I tell them, well, I woke up really early this morning and I was able to watch some YouTube videos. Feeling pretty confident. And then I bust out laughing.
Amazing.
And then most of the time they get a little chuckle and then I'll, run down my credentials.
Great.
And I went to school here and I did my residency here and I did all of this, post-graduation work and that sort of thing. And normally it gets us to a good rapport. It lets them know my personality and it helps calm the situation, because a lot of times they're asking that because they're nervous and they want a reassurance that you know what you're doing before you do anything on them.
Yeah. I like that.
So rapid fire, Savanah. What do you do if you planned treatment on a patient and they call and they've had the treatment done elsewhere, but they want you to tell them if it was done right and just, kind of look at it and make sure it's good?
Yeah, I think this is terrible, but I think it depends on the patient. But I would say I would encourage them to go back to where they had the treatment done. Let them know that they're going to understand best what went on because they did the treatment. I think if they are very adamant about coming in to see me, it's definitely a limited and some x-rays, because that's not like a no charge post-op thing. And I think that determines the patient's buy-in to like wanting to come see me about it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because if you can go back to wherever you had it done, it's probably going to be a post-op, I would assume. But yeah, I think it also depends what they had done. Was it something that we could do here, or was it like an implant that got referred out that
Right.
we are going to maybe place the crown? So I think that's part of it. But yeah, it's not free.
Yes, understood. Understood.
Okay, Ronnetta, it is a Saturday night and your patient is in pain. Are they able to reach you? How do they reach you, and what do you do about it?
They are able to reach me by email, and depending on the circumstances, I try to talk them through it via email. In some scenarios, if we can't get it talked through via email, we'll make a phone call to talk to them. Very rarely do I actually have to go into the office, but depending on what the scenario is, if it's post-op, something that we worked on, and I have to go in, it's no charge. But if it's like an emergency type situation, there's definitely a charge for me to come in after hours.
What about if you're like out of town on vacation? Do you still have access to that post-op email?
Currently, yes, I do. But do I want to have access, or do I want to delegate? TBD.
Okay.
TBD, yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, so pretty much you have a patient that you did crown and bridge on. They approved the shade, but 2 weeks later comes in and saying that they hate them. What do you do, Dr. Craig?
So for dentures, we have like an aesthetic try-in form. I think we need one for crown and bridge that basically is like, you said yes before I put this in your mouth, so if you want it redone, then you got to pay for it. We don't have that. We probably should. I think bringing the patient in, figuring out exactly what they're unhappy with. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if they want me to cut it off, I guess you got to. They're at least going to get charged the lab bill to have it redone. Yeah. How are you handling that one?
I think it depends because it's like, I think I would make sure that we're sure that they
Yeah.
love it before we glue it in.
Yes.
And then I agree with you. I'm in agreement with you that, it would at least need to be a lab fee charge or something like that.
I also think explaining to them like what taking this off looks like and the risks of like the teeth might get really unhappy with me taking this off, and I need you to like, how bad
Do
is
you want it?
this?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood.
I did see a thing. This just made me think we're very bad at rapid fire, but I just saw a thing about online about like dental work, no matter what, is traumatic to the tooth, and a healthy nerve will bounce back, but an unhealthy nerve might not. And I've been thinking a lot about that because I think it puts the ownership on the patient of like, this nerve might be unhealthy because you've had so much work or because of the cavity that's there or whatever, where I've been explaining like, our handpiece generates heat. Like sometimes the tooth can heal from it, sometimes it can't. But I like the idea of saying like, a healthy nerve will bounce back and an unhealthy nerve, for whatever XYZ reason we're doing this, might not. And I thought that was an interesting
Yeah, I think
description.
that kind of helps with patient communication because that's something that they could easily see and understand, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You have a patient who, needs tons and tons of work. You're trying to, so okay, this is like a backstory one. In dental school, I feel like we were taught, got to get all the caries under control before you move to fixed. But let's be honest, in real life, it's not always black and white. They want their tooth back, whatever. So you decide to do the bridge, the crown, whatever, to like stabilize this one area. Patient comes back in for hygiene recall. They had said that before they weren't brushing, flossing because it had been so long since they'd been to the dentist and had all of the, it's painful, it's inflamed, all these things. And they come back for recall and they're literally not brushing, not flossing. What is that conversation with them about moving forward with other aesthetic treatment? Or how do you manage that onus of, I can do all the work, but if you're not caring for it, it doesn't matter. When a patient is, and when a patient doesn't want to maintain their hygiene.
Right. And so I would pretty much let the patient know they're not a candidate for any aesthetic work until they get their periodontal health under control, and explain to them why. You can spend all this money for aesthetic work, but if you are not brushing or flossing, you're going to get cavities. It's not going to last.
Yeah.
In addition to that, if you aren't taking care of your gum health and you're not coming in for those maintenance appointments, we don't know that the very tooth that you go and get this aesthetic work done on, that it won't get loose and just pop out. That's very real too. Yeah, in my office, anything that's going to be like an aesthetic type case that's a lot of work, pretty much we be getting the caries under control first. And they'd have to prove to me that they can keep up with hygiene prior to like any
Jumping
worker's
in.
appointment or anything like that. And I make it very clear before we kind of do anything.
Fair enough.
Okay.
What you got for me?
What would you do if you had a scenario where parents were not in a good place and one parent had custody of the children? Children come for their appointment and the other parent shows up demanding things and getting in the way of treatment.
Do both parents have custody of the children and like decision-making power?
Primary custody is with
the parent who's not there. I think it's just an explanation of like, legally, like whoever has the primary custody gets to make the decision. I think we probably don't look into that as much as we should. Like, I don't know, that's probably weird to like interview every person that brings a child and be like, who are you and are you allowed to have this child and make the decision?
But playing devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
If the person does not have authority to give consent,
I know,
we could be in trouble.
Yep. Yeah, that's a rough one. I hope it never happens. Yeah, especially if they're in disagreement with like whatever was scheduled for that day. I think just having a conversation about like what's best for the kid, and awful, all the pediatric dentists are going to come for me, but also a referral to pedo.
Sounds pretty nice to me.
Yeah, sorry, you specialized. You find problems. Lord. Okay, patient, rampant decay, pain with a certain tooth. All right, let's go with rampant decay everywhere. Most posterior molars, massive decay, either extractions or endobuildup crown. Patient is relatively young, says they don't, they've got a couple of previous endos and crowns that are failing due to recurrent caries. They say, I don't believe in root canals and crowns because clearly they always fail. How do you educate the patient about their piece, their responsibility for maintaining this dental work? And if they say, I don't believe in root canals and crowns, how do you manage that?
I think I kind of navigate this one a little bit differently. I start by asking them what their goals are for their oral care in their mouth.
I
Like,
just want to be out of pain. I'm self-pay.
just want to be out of pain. We could focus on just the pain area. Because if they're there just to get out of pain in one area, pretty much, I could let them know, hey, it's possible that you're going to have some other issues coming up with these other areas. And, it just depends on where they are. And you don't know that until you talk to them. If they're like, I only want to deal with this one tooth, we deal with the one tooth. But we always leave an open invitation for them to come back when they want to know more. You could always ask the patient for permission to let them know about what else is going on in the area. Sometimes we go in hot and tell them, and sometimes they're not ready to hear
Sure.
it. So I think I would play that one that way. Like if he were to tell me, you know what, I know I've got a lot going on, I just don't know where to start, then we could have a conversation about diet, habits, and figure out how he got into this position. I've had some discussions with some patients who they're like, I love Mountain Dew, I'm not giving it up. And I'm like, okay, well, since you won't give it up, you're probably gonna give up having teeth at some point. Like, not being funny, but like, you're just gonna is the Mountain Dew is just going to eat your teeth up. And some of
Yep.
them are like, yeah, I know. Like my mom and dad, they had dentures at 30.
Yeah.
I imagine I'm going to be the same way. And I'm like, okay, well, if you ever want to try to change that around, make a different decision to try to keep what you have for as long as you can, we could talk about it. I'm here. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, that is your actions have consequences. And if you're cool with that, go for it.
Okay. So, what would you do if, and this isn't patient related, but what would you
Oh,
do?
no.
Well, it's kind of patient related. What would
Yeah.
you do if two of your team members kind of got in a spat in front of a patient?
Oof. Okay, is this happening in real time? Am I witnessing this, or did it happen and I'm hearing about it later?
I want a twofer.
Okay.
Yeah, give me both scenarios.
Okay. So if it's happening in real time, I think asking the team members to exit the room and go meet me in my office or in the break room or whatever, apologizing on their behalf to the patient, and, bringing another assistant hygienist, whatever, into that room to like finish that appointment. Because I think in that moment, getting the patient comfortable and getting them out of there, and, maybe just being like, make a joke like, oh, it's a full moon, or, it's the holidays, or, oh, they didn't have their coffee, or like something, but also just being like, I need you to know, like, that's not okay and we're going to handle it. I feel like I'm always kind of a like lead with humor in a way, and just being like, yeah, I'm sorry, like, but we're all human kind of thing. And then trying to like move on with the patient as much as possible, and then going to the team members and trying to hear them out about like what happened, and then also letting them know that like that is not okay. And if we're all human and we're all going to have disagreements, but you cannot, like, the professionalism and your job responsibility needs to come first, and just trying to be very cognizant of not doing that out in the open. I think if you hear about it later, you're probably going to address your team first and try to get to the bottom of what happened and maybe getting information from whomever told you. Because let's assume that like this happened in another part of the office and you weren't there, and that's why you couldn't like immediately address it.
Right.
And then, I don't know, my initial gut reaction is to like have either myself or have one of my front office folks call the patient and apologize. Or perhaps even better if you can convince one of the team members, like assuming that this patient has a rapport with the office and with
Right.
their hygienist or my assistant, having them just call and make sure the patient's okay, because that's also super awkward. But then at the same time, I don't know if calling the patient and drawing attention to the situation is the right answer either.
I think it's a tough scenario.
Super.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts?
My hope would be in that scenario that the patient would have a upcoming appointment that was soon.
Yeah. And you just talk about it when you see them.
Right. But I also know myself to know if he didn't have one, I would probably call.
Yeah.
To say, hey, I heard XYZ happened. I wanted to personally call and apologize to you and let you know that the situation's been handled.
Yes.
But I like face-to-face, so if they had an upcoming appointment,
yeah,
while I'm in a room with them, I would apologize.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think it also, like, I don't know, I think it depends, like, what exactly happened. Like,
yeah, I would definitely have a conversation with the team members, whether it was, me hearing about it or seeing it firsthand.
Yeah.
That we're a team and we work together to create the best experience and provide the best care for our patients.
Yeah. And that's got to be the forefront of everyone's mind.
Always. We are here because of them. Without them, we're not here. We can't feed our families. We can't take care of our families. So we have to treat our patients right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So this was fun.
Yes.
This was super fun.
Yes. Comment your scenarios, and maybe we'll do this again with some audience scenarios. I think that'd be fun. All right, friends, until next time.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond Graduation. If you enjoyed this week's episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Connect with us on social media at Savanah Craig DDS and at Dr_Sartor. And remember, you are not alone on this journey.
ADEC certified pre-owned equipment is a sustainable, affordable choice that makes genuine ADEC equipment available to every doctor. Each package is sold on a first-come, first-served basis. So, if you see one you like, contact your dealer. For more information, go to www.adec.com/find a dealer. Thank you for listening to Beyond Graduation, brought to you by Ignite DDS and Future Dentists. This episode was sponsored by Ignite DDS Coaching. We build self-determined futures. For more information, please reach out to the Ignite DDS team.